Big Polly's World of Sports Sims proudly presents the ALTNFL 1970 season. And the game we're going to do for week number 3 is the ALTNFL of 1970 season. The St. Louis Cardinals, who we had on our show a couple of nights ago, playing their week 2 game against the Chicago Bears, winning 41 to 24. They're going to take on the Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City's Municipal Stadium for game number 3. And forgive me for just a moment, folks. I want to go over here. Hello, everybody. This is Big Polly coming to you. Well, we have an exciting game for you, I think, for this third week of the 1970 season as we travel through time and try to do action PC football through it. Kansas City defeated Cleveland and New Orleans to get their season started at 2-0, and of course they are the defending champions at this point of history. St. Louis, a team that can contend, and they just beat the Chicago Bears rather handedly after they got off to a 10-0 start against the Cardinals. The Bears got off to a 10-0 start, but the Cardinals just came blitzing through and won their game 41-24. So let's set this up for you all. And let me bring up Action PC 2025. Hope they have a patch for this soon. It does seem to need it. And let's go to play. And I'm already contemplating what game we're going to do for week 4. It will depend on the matches as they occur this week. And we are in Kansas City with temperature at 71 degrees. A bit of a strong wind, 15 mile an hour plus. No precipitation. I will play as both offenses. The computer will control both defenses. Oh, and I forgot, and I'm going to do this right in front of you guys. I'm going to go to Tools, and we're going to update the rosters. I was telling you last week, I'm not a big fan of using roster limits, but we'll go ahead and do the roster updates, make sure everybody has 40 players that can go. So that means we're gonna take what I said about the weather and we're gonna throw it out because the Action PC football program will just run the weather again. And let's go back to play. Let's get back over to the setup screen. 66 degrees, but they kept the wind the same at 15 mile per hour. Good thing I reminded myself to do that. Okay, both teams are ready. Both teams have 40 players. And there you see the quarterback matchup. Jim Hart against Len Dawson, who in real life just passed away just recently. And we'll go through the offenses and defenses for you when we get to it. Coin flip is going to go St. Louis's way. They will start this Battle of Missouri. Of course, these two teams were in different leagues in 1969. So this is the first Battle of Missouri in the regular season. I'm sure they met in the preseason. And this is 28. I believe that is Pittman. And yes, he returns at 29 yards to the 23. Setting up the offense for you. Here we go. We got Jim Hart at quarterback out of Southern Illinois. MacArthur Lane and Johnny Rowland are your running backs. John Gilliam, Dave Williams, Jackie Smith are your receivers. Ernie McMillan, Irv Goody, Wayne Mulligan, Clyde Williams, Bob Reynolds are your offensive linemen. And we will go to MacArthur Lane on a trap to the left side, and then we'll give you Kansas City's defense. Whoops, I forgot to set up both defenses again, so just allow me a moment if you please. There we go. And let's just do the play we were going to do, which was a trap left to MacArthur. He's got the ball. He's past the 30 out to the 34 for a gain of 5 yards. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't do me any good. So we just got to go through. Yeah, we already showed you St. Louis's lineup. I don't need to show it again. So here's your Kansas City defense. Jerry Mays, Buck Buchanan, Curly Culp, Aaron Brown. That's not that Aaron Brown, but a younger Aaron Brown, or an older Aaron Brown, I should say. Those are your front four: Jim Lynch, Willie Lanier, Bobby Bell. Your linebackers: Emmett Thomas, Jim Kearney, Johnny Robinson, Jim Marsalis. Your defensive backfield. And on 2nd and 5, we'll go right back to lane. And we're going to pitch it to the right side and try to test the perimeter of the Kansas City defense. And that's just for 1 yard. 3rd down and 4. We'll go double tight. And this is not a very high percentage play, but we'll try to get it to Jackie Smith. Hart cannot get it there. It's an incomplete pass. So that Kansas City defense, overall an A-, B+ against the run, but an A- in their pass rush ability and pass defense. The St. Louis offense is a C+ running and a B+ passing. But they'll have to punt here. Jacques Latorette back to punt. And we did not catch who the punt returner was, so we're going to let him go, even though this should land inside the 15. It lands right on the 15, and he gained, that's Ed Podolak, gaining 7 yards. Out to the 23. So now, let's set the Kansas City. Well, first we'll show you the St. Louis defense. Don Parrish, Jamie Rivers, Larry Stallings are your linebackers. The front four: Kruger, Rowe, Heron, and Walker. Miller Farr, Jerry Stovall, Larry Wilson, and Roger Worley. A pretty staunch defensive backfield for St. Louis. And we will just go Ed Podolak, whose biggest gain was the famous double overtime game with Miami after the 71 season. He gained 6 yards. And I guess we're just going to have to go. I don't want to show you the game plan. I got a new mouse. I'll probably do that next week. So let's show you the cards for the St. Louis, not the St. Louis, but the Kansas City offense. Len Dawson, your quarterback out of Purdue. Ed Podolak and Wendell Hayes, your running backs. Otis Taylor, Frank Pitts, your receivers. Red Arbanis out of Michigan State is your tight end. And the front line: Trier, Buddy, Holub, Mo Mormon, and Dave Hill. So that gives you all the lineups. And on 2nd and 4, we're going to run with the outside to Wendell Hayes, who Hank Stram, if you ever watched the Super Bowl IV film, calls for incessantly in the 4th quarter. He gets a first down. Kruger making the tackle, and Kansas City has a first down at the 33. Municipal Stadium in Kansas City, which I think they moved to Arrowhead in 72, if I'm not mistaken. Blitz coming for St. Louis, but we're just going to stick to the inside running game and give it to Ed Podolak, number 14. And he finds a crease, gaining 6 yards. Kruger on another tackle. Kansas City, as you see in a lot of teams that we have done in this 1970 season, they're not rated very high against the with the run offense. They are a C+. Passing-wise, they are a B. And with the St. Louis defense, they are B's all around. B+ running, B+ pass rush, B passing. And overall, they are a B+ defense. But running the ball in the 70s was something teams did with great more frequency as they do now. So we're just going to stick with it. Outside to Wendell Hayes. St. Louis onto that, a gain of only 2. And it's now 3rd down, 2 yards to go. 10:49 left, opening period. We have no score. If you just tuned in to this point of the tape, we're going to go to Fred Arbanis on a short hitch, sending 25 in motion. That is an incomplete pass, so the Chiefs will have to punt here. They have Jarrell Wilson, who's one of the better punters in the league. And 2 men back for St. Louis will go for a fair catch. And it is fair caught at the 14-yard line by Johnny Rowland. No score, 9:59 now left, opening period. Trapped to the left with Johnny Rowland. We'll give him some work after the punt return. And Rowland was rolling for a 6-yard gain. Emmett Thomas made the tackle. Rowland busted a tackle originally by one of the defensive ends of Kansas City, Mays, and he gained 6 yards. We'll go to that passing game and we'll look to John Gilliam on 2nd and 4. That is overthrown. Marsalis with the good pass defense, and now it is going to be a 3rd and 4. We'll put a man in motion. You have Dannon, 31, Gilliam, 44, and Dave Williams, number 80, who we're going to go to in this sequence. Ball at the 20. That is a catch by Williams and a first down, a gain of 12 yards. We'll go back to the double tight end formation, which brings in Brown, number 89, Robert Brown. He's out of Alcorn State. And MacArthur Lane, I believe this is his first carry of the game. Actually, no, I think he's had a couple. Yes, this is his 3rd. He gains 1 yard, and Willie Lanier making the tackle for Kansas City. And Hart bootleg, well, not very effectively. Trapped to the left. Lane again on 2nd down and 9. We have a marker down.
Offsides, defense. Number 75, 5-yard penalty.
That's Mays getting called for offsides. We will accept that, and instead of a 3rd and 5, it's a 2nd and 4. We're going to run a counter sweep with MacArthur Lane. Looks like a busted play. Hart running past the line. Buck Buchanan got the tackle, and it's now 3rd and 2 from the 40. All right, I got no reason not to run the play again. We are going to sweep left to the receiving side and go MacArthur Lane, try to get the first down that way. Lane's got it, and I think he is short, and he is short. That's a 1-yard gain for Lane. Willie Lanier making the tackle, and on 4th and 1, on the 41, we're going to send Latourette in to punt. Podolak back. And we're going to have him fair catch this time. And the Iowan making the fair catch at the 12. So no score, 6:04 left to go. Now, I know this is not probably the most exciting football you have ever seen to this point, but if you look at 1970, there were a lot of good defensive teams. Podolak will get it here, go up the gut. He gains 3 yards. There was a playoff game between Dallas and Detroit with the final of Dallas winning 5-0. And you might remember that. It just shows you that this was back when defenses pretty much dominated the league. And, there's that old adage of defenses winning championships. Well, it was true back then. 2nd and 7, we'll look to Arbanis. And he's going to make the catch. Wilson right there to make the tackle, a gain of 11 yards. A couple of weeks prior on a nationally televised game, Dallas beat Cleveland. Another odd score, 6-2. But it just goes to show you that the defense is dominated, especially in the early 70s before the rules changed in 74, which opened up the offenses a bit. Podolak.
False start.
Was to get it
Offense,
again.
Number 73, 5-yard penalty. And repeat first down.
That's going to be Hill getting called for a false start, as you just heard. 1st and 15. We're going to look to Otis Taylor here on a slant route. Dawson getting good protection, and that was a good throw. Roger Worley making the tackle. He's a 9 corner. And in Action PC football, the defenders are rated 1 to 10, or actually 0 to 10 plus. And the closer you are to 10 plus, the better you are. Gain of 9 on the play, and that's going to set up a 2nd and 6. Look to Wendell Hayes on a short pass. He's number 38. And he gets the first down, a pickup of 12. And Len Dawson is off to a good start, 3 out of 4, 32 yards. We'll go Podolak on a dive. Gets the handoff. No gain. I still wish the game moved a little faster in terms of the plays. Walker on the tackle for St. Louis. Podolak is 4 carries and 15 yards. 2:56 left in the opening quarter. No score still. We'll go Podolak to the outside. I don't think he has gone to the outside yet. And that's going to be a nice gain of 6. Stovall making the tackle. Stovall, one of the safeties on the St. Louis defense. It's now 3rd and 4. Man in motion. Short pass. And we'll look to Taylor again. That was 25 going in motion. And this pass incomplete. They were trying to go to Taylor in the flat. Worley tipped it. It's incomplete. And with the ball at the Kansas City 48, Stenerud could come on and try a 55-yarder, but his odds of getting it not all that good. So we're just going to send Wilson in the punt and hope that they could put St. Louis in a hole. St. Louis is going to let the punt roll and hope it goes back for a touchback. It does not. It is down at the 10. So St. Louis is going to start there. St. Louis has the wind advantage. They might try a few passes here. We're going to go medium hitch to Gilliam. Try to take advantage of it before they lose it. Incomplete, and that was tipped by Marsalis. Hart has started 1 for 4 for 12 yards. Both teams slow getting started offensively. Kansas City with 59 net yards and St. Louis with 28. Lane almost gets trapped by the goal line.
Defense. Number 87, 5-yard penalty.
And instead of a 3rd and 6, they'll have a 2nd and 5. Minute 7 now left, opening quarter. Johnny Rowland will get the ball here. He's the fullback. He'll be close to first down yardage. Curly Culp, who would go on and play with the Houston Oilers, made the tackle. That was a gain of 3, setting up a 3rd and 2. We'll go full house here, bring in Sid Edwards and get him the ball. And Edwards is going to be just short of the first down, but that will be the last play of the opening quarter. No score as we head to the second quarter. 4th and inches. Now, this is in modern-day football, so we're not going to let St. Louis go for it. Chuck Locterette to punt. Podolak back deep. Caught it at the 37-yard line, a fair catch. So Kansas City winning the field position battle as we start the second period. And we're going to go Wendell Hayes on a trap to the right. I think he has had 1 carry up to this point. No, he had 2, and this was his 3rd. Heron making the tackle, Heron being one of the defensive tackles, and it's now 2nd and 6 at the 41. Okay. We're going to go to Frank Pitts on a short hitch, but that is overthrown. Pitts 25, and that was well defensed by Miller Farr, number 20. 3rd down and 6. A short out, and we'll go back to Pitts. Being guarded by Wilson, he will make the tackle, but not after Wilson gets the first down and a gain of 9 yards. Ball now right at midfield. And we're going to go Podolak off tackle to the right on 1st and 10 from the 50. Back to the line, and that will be all as Heron makes the tackle. Heron out of San Jose State. You see him there. How about a pitch to the right with Podolak on 2nd and 10 as Podolak continues to test the outside. No gain. Heron meets him again. Probably as saying, didn't I just beat you? So Podolak now 7 carries and 21 yards. 3rd and 10. We will put a man in motion. Go to Richardson, Gloucester Richardson, as my Facebook gong goes off. The throw incomplete. And it's going to be 4th and 10. And with the win, Stenerud could try a 57-yarder. In fact, we're going to let him do it because unless it is blocked. The offshoot is if he misses, St. Louis gets it at the 20 to kick. On its way. Oh, look at that. Right between the pipes, had the distance, had the accuracy. So the Chiefs off to a 3-0 start with 12:05 left to go in the half. Pittman, LaTourette, and Wright all back. Pittman, the deep back, 28. And that's going to go through for a touchback. In 1970s rules, early 70s rules, the kickoffs were from the 40, but in 1974 they would get moved to the 35. So St. Louis now down 3 will go to Johnny Rowland. I was being reminded on Facebook to say happy birthday to somebody. And that is a gain of one longtime friend from school. That is a gain of a yard for Rowland. Lynch on the tackle for the Chiefs. We'll look to Jerry Dannon here. He's got it.
Holding.
Oh, he
defense.
bobbled and dropped it.
Number 63, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
But the Cardinals are going to get a first down out of it as there was defensive holding. That moves the ball to the 26. As I'm going to drink a little water as this play gets going. Let's go back to double tight ends. Run to the left side with Johnny Rowland. Rolling with a couple of yards there. They are only averaging 2.4 from the ground. 10 carries, 24 yards as a team. And Rowland so far, 4 carries, 12 yards. Might be a good time to throw, but they're not going to do well throwing the ball. We'll go Dave Williams, who has the only completion catch so far. That was batted up, nearly picked off. Bell had a hand on it. Bobby Bell out of the University of Minnesota, which probably more famously produced Tony Dungy. And on 3rd and 8, we're going to try to go to Dannon again. And you saw 75 get ahead of steam there. Mays, he sacks Hart. And that's going to be a 7-yard loss, and LaTourette's going to have to come in to punt. They're punting into the wind. Podolak's going to run with it a little bit ways. Yes, a gain of 8. Ulrich on the tackle. And now St. Louis defense will be on their own side of the field to begin with, as they have the ball, Kansas City does, at the 49 of St. Louis. We'll go Podolak on the attack, and that's a gain of 3. Stallings with the stop. And Kansas City is just going to keep matriculating the ball down the field, as Hank Stram would say. Back to Podolak. Gain of 3 yards. So it's now 3rd down and 4 with 8:42 to go. Okay. If I pass, the odds would be about 50% I get the first. If I run, it would be about 30, about 40. So we're going to go Taylor on a slant. And St. Louis did get a good pass rush. But Worley defending the pass nicely, and it's 4th and 4. Stenerud's going to come on and try a 50-yarder. Better odds here of making this, 63.3. And, well, something happened here. Bad snap by Rodney Livingston, running for his life, tackled by Stallings for no gain. So that's why you saw a different animation there than what you should have seen. So the first break of the game for the Cardinals, and they set up on their own 43. To Lane. MacArthur Lane to the outside, and that's a gain of 2 yards. Time to stretch the defense and go back to MacArthur Lane. St. Louis looking for that big shot of positive yardage. They only get a yard there, and it's 3rd and 7. This is a game in the Midwest Division. Remember, under this kind of alternate universe, I guess you could call it, there are no conferences, but there are 4 geographic divisions. We're going to try the slant with Dave
Ball
Williams.
start. Offense, number 50. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
Mulligan called for being for false starting, and it's going to be 3rd and 12 now. It's not going to change my outlook. We're going to send the man in motion, and we're going to look to Dannon. Can he get it there? No, overthrown. Good coverage by the Chiefs. Hart now 1 for 6 for 12 yards. He's having a terrible day so far. But let's see if the Cardinals can get good field position. Podolak deep for Chuck Latterette. Remember, he is punting into the wind here. It's going to go out of bounds. No, Podolak caught it before it did go out of bounds. He'll gain 4 yards. Punt went 36 of the net. 32. So the Chiefs now go on defense. They're at their opponent's 27-yard line. And the Chiefs are on offense. They have 73 yards to go, I should say. But they lead 3-0. They got a little ways to get in the field goal range. And Podolak will carry the ball, a fumble. And it was Holub pouncing on it, the center. A 3-yard gain, setting up 2nd and 7. 66 degrees. Precipitation not a factor, but the wind is a factor. Podolak will get it again. That is a gain of 4 yards. Podolak on the day, 11 carries already for 34 yards. Kansas City not doing much better running the ball than St. Louis has, 15 of 44. They have been called for 4 penalties. St. Louis only for 1. 3rd and 3 will go double tight this time. Do a little play action. Send Dawson on a rollout. And look to Cannon, which I believe is Billy Cannon. And that's a completed pass. Gain of 12. Billy Cannon, of course, out of LSU, was kind of the basis of the Dennis Quaid movie, Everybody's All-American. It's kind of based on him. And it's 1st and 10 for Kansas City at the 46. Trap left. This is Wendell Hayes.
Holding offense, number 84. 15-yard penalty.
The dreaded holding penalty, which back in the early 70s rules backs up Kansas City 15 yards. Draw to Podolak. He'll need a big gain here, and he only gains 3. Walker on the tackle. 4:10 left, opening half, and it is 3-0 in favor of Kansas City. We're going to run a short cross to Pitts on 2nd and 22. Cab ride from Columbia, where the University of Missouri is, and that is an incompletion. 3rd and 22. And this is where you throw a long pass and you pray. Looking for Taylor. Instead, it's a dump off to Gloucester Richardson, who gains 8. That's 14 yards short of the first down, so Wilson will come in to punt. And with the wind at his back, he should punt it a ways. St. Louis will try to fair catch it. And it's fair caught at the 5. Actually, they let it roll. Same animation, so hence my dilemma. And they let it roll dead at the 6-yard line, so St. Louis now 94 yards away from the opposing goal. Tulane to try to get him some breathing room. Takes the handoff behind the goal line. That's a gain of 2. And with 2:55 left, St. Louis has a 2nd and 8 from their own 8. Try to stick it with the inside running game to Lane. A gain of 4 to bump their average so far in this game to 2.4. And with 2:26 left, we'll go to the 2-minute warning. 3rd and 4. I'm going to go full house. We're going to try a run to the outside, and we're going to go to Roland here.
False start. Offense, number 81, 5-yard penalty.
Jackie Smith called for a false start. Second penalty of the day for the Cardinals. 2 minutes left. I do not want to risk a turnover by passing the ball. So we're just going to do what we were going to do and put Roland in on an outside run. Hope he gets the first. He does not. A gain of 5. Kansas City not electing the call timeout. So St. Louis is just going to let the clock run down to 1:13 and punt the ball. Latourette, Podolak stationed at the St. Louis 45. He's backing up a little bit. And he will be gaining nothing and forcing himself to like it, as that was a punt of 40, no return. So Kansas City at their own 48, a minute 7 to go with a 3-0 lead. Double tight ends, outside run, Podolak. So this will be his 13th carry. And it looks like a nice one. He'll gain a first down, a pickup of 12. Kansas City will call their timeout with 1 minute to go. 2 timeouts remaining. They put 3 receivers in, and they'll go to Taylor. Beg your pardon. They kind of snuck up on me. The ball was knocked loose. Looked like Taylor was going to get it, but it was an incompletion. 2nd and 10, the ball at the 40, 55 seconds left to go in the half. How about Urbanus on a slant? Loss of 5, and the Boo Bird's out. Third and 15. And we're going to go to Fred Urbanus here, just a short hitch. Try to secure the points and get a field goal. That's a gain of 12. Urbanus with the catch. Stovall on the tackle. And St. Louis is not going to burn a timeout, so Kansas City's going to let the clock run down to 4 seconds and try a field goal. Let's see here. You only add 7 because this is pre-74. Stenerud from 40 is good. And we have reached halftime with the score Kansas City 6, St. Louis nothing, and we will be right back. So your score at halftime, Kansas City 6, St. Louis nothing. This has not been a very exciting game so far, I noticed. But this is what pro football looked like in 1970. The defenses tend to dominate and rule the roost. St. Louis with only 43 yards of offense. Kansas City doing just a touch better, 120-something. And I'll know for sure as we look at the stats. And let me get my OBS out of the way. There we go. Kansas City will receive the start the second half. 127 yards of total offense. Show you some of the box score here. Dawson, the better thrower, 7 of 14, 73 yards, a 65.5 rating. Podolak, your leading rusher, 13 of 49. And Urbanus is the leading receiver, 2 catches and 23 yards. So he is leading in both catching and catching yardage. It's Holmes back deep with Podolak and McVeigh. It's going to go to Podolak. He's going to catch it about the 5. And it's going to be a return of 24 yards before Latourette, special teams whiz of the Cardinals, making the tackle. And Kansas City is going to start at their own 29. Kansas City doing a little better running the ball. 17 of 59, 3.5 yards. We're going to try to get Wendell Hayes into the game a little more. As Podolak already at 13 carries. That's a gain of 3. Wilson on the stop for the Cardinals, who put up 41 last week against the Bears, and probably wishing they had saved some of those points for this game, which is, I guess, is kind of a baseball adage. You wish you could save your runs. But in football, I really don't think you can do that. Medium out because you play against different defenses. Well, in baseball, you kind of do that too. You face different pitching. Medium out to Taylor on 2nd and 7. That is caught, a gain of 20. Worley on the stop, and in 2 plays, Kansas City is in St. Louis territory. We did have an HTFL game between Kansas City and St. Louis in Season 1, and we will be doing HTFL again at some point in 2026. A lot of errors I noticed in the 2024 historical collection, like players in there twice. The database seems to be a little corrupt. Podolak on that play gained 5. Walker on the tackle at the 43. So this is going to be a 2nd and 5. And I'm probably going to do it to where each team can select 50 players, and then there's a draft for the other 50, because we have 100-man rosters. We'll go Podolak again on 2nd and 5. This would be his 15th carry, I think. No, it is his 14th, 15th. It is, I am correct. A gain of 10 there, and that's going to set up a 1st and 10 at the 33. And if you're running the ball well, up to a 3.9 average, why not just keep doing it? This is Wendell Hayes on the sweep to the left. He will gain 5 yards. The optimal yardage to gain is 4 yards if you're running the ball, so you could get the first down in 3 plays. There's that old adage of Ohio State that they were 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I guess they would go for it on 4th down every time, right? So Hayes gaining 5. He's up to 5 carries and 18 yards. Let's just give him the ball again on a quick pitch. There's the pitch. There's the run. A gain of 3. 3rd and a deuce. We'll go 3 tight ends, which is going to bring Stroud in the game. And let's show you Morris Stroud out of Clark, Atlanta. And we're going to run to the inside with Podolak. Podolak escaping a tackle by Rivers and has a first down, a pickup of 9. He is now at 73 yards on the day. He's closing in on 100. And with the game 2/3 over, he could probably get there. How about an end run with Billy Cannon? Try something new here. And Cannon back to the line, gains a yard, and that's it. Parrish making the tackle. We thought we would try something out of the ordinary there. 2nd and 9 at the 15. Field goal here would make it a 2-score game. Podolak, the ball carrier. No gain there, and it's 3rd and 9. Podolak getting a little winded. We'll go full house then. And that'll bring in Robert Holmes out of Southern, number 45. You see him there. But we're going to cross them up and go play action quick pass. And we're going to look to Billy Cannon. Incomplete. And I don't know who Dawson was throwing to there. 4th and 9. This will be a 22-yarder for Jan Stenerud, but more importantly, this would make it a 2-score game.
False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat. 4th down.
Warman, the right guard, called for a false start, so that's going to back him up 5. This will be a 27-yard field goal try for Stenerud, which he gets. And Kansas City is up 9-0 on the strength of 3 field goals. Clinton, LaTourette, and Wright now all back for St. Louis. They'll down this 3 yards deep. So this is the first series for St. Louis in this second half. Kansas City had the ball over 6.5 minutes. That's a first down for Johnny Rowland, a gain of 13. Robinson on the tackle. We're not going to go to the flat. We're going to go short cross to Gilliam, try to get him involved. 1st and 10 at the 33. That's a catch. And Williams was hurt, number 63. His return questionable. So we have McMillan, Good, Mulligan, Hutchinson, and Reynolds in the game. I think Hutchinson is the replacement out of Ohio State. Inside run. Lane on 1st and 10 from the 46. See if St. Louis can find the end zone. And that's a nice gain for Lane all the way down to the 16. A gain of 38. So their running game has blossomed. They have now upped their average to 5.2 a carry. 1st and 10 at the 16. We're going to go play action medium hitch, and we're going to try to find Gilliam here. A lot of time for Hart, but that's an incomplete pass. Hart is just 2 for 8 for the day, 25 yards. Neither team has turned the ball over. Now I'm sure St. Louis thinking get a field goal, cut it back to within a score. Lane again, 20, 15, 10, 5. He's in. Touchdown, St. Louis. So sticking to the running game has paid dividends for them. Hutchinson and Good provided good blocks. No pun intended. Bakken for the extra point. It is good. And it's 9-7. And suddenly we have a game with 6:20 left in the third. Holmes, Podolak, McVay back deep. Holmes is 45. But it's going to fall to Podolak again to return the kickoff. Past the 30. All the way out to the 38. LaTourette on the stop. We have 6:08 left. Third quarter, it is now 9-7. And now there'll be some onus on St. Louis to get going. On Kansas City to get going because they can't win this game on field goals, we would think. A gain of 3 there by Podolak. Heron making the stop, and it's now 2nd and 7. How about Billy Cannon again on the hitch? Podolak. Oh! Dawson sacked viciously by Parrish. Hill will be out for a few plays. And I think that was one of the linemen. Smith, I think, has come in. Sid Smith out of USC. 3rd and 10. Kansas City will go 3 wide and try to get a first down here. We'll look to Pitts. Pitts is 25, I believe. Dawson's going to run, but he's going to be short of the first. I think that's the St. Louis faithful applauding. Only a gain of 5. 4th and 5. Kansas City with the wind at their backs, but they're going to punt here. It would have been a 64-yard field goal try for Stenerud. And that punt caught at the goal line. What was LaTourette doing? But he picked up 10. And it's going to be 1st and 10 at the 11 for the Cardinals, who now just trail 9-7. Lane on a quick pitch. Lane getting it going. And that's going to be a first down on first. Gain of 12. Lane is now up to 83 yards on 11 carries. So keep giving him the ball. A sweep to the right side. Gain of 2. Curly Culp on the stop. Is this third period winding down? Pitch to the left, MacArthur Lane. Then we're going to give it to Rowland here at least once. And Lane got the first down. Smith, Jackie Smith was hurt. His return doubtful. So Brown will be the leading tight end. And if they go to a double tight end set, Dannon comes in, but he's a wide receiver, so they'll probably not use that 2 tight end set. And we're going to go inside with Rowland on 1st and 10 from the 33. Rowland.
Personal foul. Defense. Number 46. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
That is the free safety, Kearney, for Kansas City. Talking a little smack, and that moves the ball to the 49 of Kansas City. So St. Louis has suddenly woken up from a slumber. They only trail 9-7, and now they are in good field position. We'll go Lane on a pitch left. Lane with another Lane. And that goes all the way down to the 3, and that puts Lane well over 100 yards. He's at 139. 1st and goal at the 3. Cardinals looking to take the lead. 2:16 left in the third. So suddenly we have drama. Lane's going to get the call again. Stop for a 1-yard loss. Curly Culp making a good play for Kansas City. So now, 2nd and goal at the 4. We're going to trip everybody up and go to Brown. Robert Brown on a hitch. Short hitch. Incomplete. Broken up by Bell. And it's 3rd and goal. And we're going to stay in the full house and go to Sid Edmond. We'll go to Roland. Thinking that they would think we would go to Lane. No gain there. Curly Culp on the tackle. A good defensive stand for the Chiefs. Backen will try a field goal from 11 yards out. He'll get it. It's 10-9. The Cardinals leading with just 42 seconds left in the third. Okay, you know the cast of characters by now. More of the Chiefs, Holmes, Podolak, McVay. It's going to be McVay this time. Well, it's going to be Holmes this time, I'm sorry. And he gets past the 20. He's out to the 25. Close to the 40, tackled by Miller Farr. So a 1st and 10 for Kansas City, but now a sense of urgency their way as they now trail 10-9 as we saw with Chicago losing to St. Louis in week 2, which we aired Wednesday. St. Louis can get a flurry of points. Last week it was 34 unanswered, I think, against the Bears. Here it was 10, but that's been good enough. A gain of 3 on that last play. That will do it for the third quarter. Podolak on the carry, Stallings on the tackle, and we have reached the end of 3 quarters. St. Louis 10 and Kansas City 9. And before we leave you, we will do a recap. We'll tell you what's going to be on the channel next week. And tell you what game we're going to play on week number 4. Wendell Hayes, a sweep to the right side on 2nd and 7. Now Kansas City going into the wind. Gain of 2 and setting up a 3rd and 5. We're going to go Richardson on a short hitch. Dawson with plenty of time, but the pass to Arbanas cannot get there. 4th and 5, it would be a 63-yarder from here. And Jan Stenerud is not Tom Dempsey, who in real life would break the NFL's longest field goal record, famously against the Detroit Lions. Wilson will punt. Punt is away, and it's clean. And that's Roland gaining 6 yards out to the 22. So St. Louis now probably be well advised to slow the game down and run to the inside. MacArthur Lane, 138 yards already. Gains another 7 before Lynch brings him down. So Kansas City on the ropes, trailing 10-9. We'll go Roland on a quick pitch on 2nd and 3. St. Louis just milking the clock. A gain of 4 for a first down. Kearney on the stop. St. Louis has now taken the yardage lead at 204 to 193. Lane, trap left, will gain a yard. Lanier on the stop. Roland on a pitch left on 2nd and 9. That's a first down, a pickup of 13. Roland is now up to 50 yards on 10 carries. And St. Louis blossoming on the running game. They are 6.9 per carry now, 29 carries, 200 yards. And we were saying at the start of the second half they were struggling offensively, not struggling anymore. Play action, long pass to Gilliam. St. Louis on their own 47. Here's the throw. It's almost intercepted, deflected by Robinson, but he could not get a handle on it. That's how you keep a defense honest. You just throw deep once in a while. Tended for Gilliam. MacArthur Lane on 2nd and 10. A run to the outside. Back to the line, and that will be it. 3rd and 10 from the 47. We'll go 3 wide. We're going to look to Jackie Smith, who is in the game now. Back in the game. And 87, Brown lowers the boom on Jimmy Hart. A sack of 8 yards. LaTourette will come in to punt. 9:40 left now in the game. Remember, no overtime in the NFL in 1970. We're going to have Podolak with a fair catch here. Just try to limit our loss. And that was caught by Podolak at the 18. 8:51 now left. 10-9. Favor of the Cardinals. Looking to go 3-0. Podolak. Gain of a yard. The division winners make the playoffs, as well as the next 4 teams, regardless of division. Gain of 1 there for Podolak. It's now 2nd and 9. Dawson's going to open it up and look for Billy Cannon. Good rush, and that forces Dawson to throw probably farther than he expected. He is only 8 for 18, 93 yards. 3rd and a 9er. We're going to look to Taylor on the short hitch. Dawson, that was dropped by Taylor. And on 4th and 9, Kansas City is going to have to hope they get the ball back. They should get at least one more possession. Wilson to punt. Punting into the wind now, but still a very solid punt. LaTourette gains 7 on the return. And that's going to set up St. Louis at the 42. They have 7:46 left to play. Jackie Smith back in the game as the leading tight end. MacArthur Lane, 1 yard gain. He is at 19 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown. The only touchdown of this game. 7:37 to go. And again, St. Louis is just going to slow it down. Lane.
Encroachment defense. Number 87, 5-yard penalty.
And encroachment there on Kansas City is going to set up a 2nd and 4. It would have been a 3rd and 7. Kansas City did not make the playoffs in 1970. And it's probably because of the overtime rules or the lack of them that probably cost them. I think they had something in the neighborhood of 3 ties. Gain of 14 for Lane. Another first down. That is 20 carries, 161 yards. He's having a big game today. 6:37 left. Again, we will just let the clock run. Force Kansas City into using those TOs. Lane again. Ball at the 38 of Kansas City. Now it's past 35 to the 34. A season high for MacArthur Lane, 165 yards rushing. It's now 2nd and 6 at the 34. Lane looking like he's getting a little tired.
Encroachment defense. Number 75, 5-yard penalty.
Mays.
Repeat, 2nd down.
Kansas City just getting killed with penalties here. That's 9 of them for 65 yards. Double tight end set. Rowland will be the ball carrier. And he got the first down. Pickup of 2. Marcellus on the tackle. Critical drive here for the Cardinals. They're now in field goal range. And should they get one, it will force Kansas City to get a touchdown to win. Lane.
Illegal shift. Offense. Number 81, 5-yard penalty.
Jackie Smith called for an illegal shift. Now it's 1st and 15. We'll quick pitch it to Lane. And Lane, with a head of steam, gains 5 yards. He's up to 170. 4:02 left, and the clock will run inside of 4 minutes. Sweep to the right with Johnny Rowland. 36th carry of the game for St. Louis. They've only thrown the ball 10 times. McMillan hurt. That's going to put, I think, Reynolds into the game at right tackle. That's also going to stop the clock. Bob Reynolds out of Bowling Green State, which it was called at the time. 3rd and 5. Edwards on the carry. And Sid Edwards gains 3 yards. That was his second carry of the game. And St. Louis will call time. Obviously, they want to kick a field goal, but they don't want to leave Kansas City a heck of a lot of time. 4th and 2. Backen's going to come on. Jim Backen, who held the longest field goal record before Tom Dempsey. And from 26 yards out, he is dead solid perfect. It's 13-9. Cardinals 224 away from going 3-0 unless Kansas City could get a touchdown here. Holmes, Podolak, and McVeigh. It's going to be a touchback as the kickoff goes 5 yards deep. So Kansas City has to get the stepping. Otis Taylor.
Pass interference, defense. Number 22, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So you see what happened there. Dawson went looking for Taylor. Worley was wrapped around him like a Christmas present, and it's 1st and 10 now from the 35. Medium slant to Pitts. Podolak with butterfingers there, dropped the pass, and Dawson is now 8 of 20 for 93 yards. We'll screen it to Podolak on 2nd and 10. Another drop by Podolak. So we just saw his first and second drops right in a row. We'll go Pitts on 3rd and 10. We'll go for it on 4th if we don't get it. And we don't get it. 2-minute warning. Kansas City with all 3 timeouts left, so there's that. Quarterback must pass here. And we're going to go medium slant to Otis Taylor. And Dawson is back. A fumble picked up by Kansas City, but well short of the first down. Buddy with the recovery for KC, but no good. St. Louis with the ball with 1:54. Now they have to try to get a first down. They kick a field goal. Kansas City could get a tie with a touchdown. Lane, so you got to get a first here. And they're off to a good start, a gain of 4. Buchanan on the stop, 1:48 to go. So this is not over yet. We had I think a 17-13 game the first week of the season. Now we have a 13-9 game. Just goes to show you that defenses were dominant. Johnny Rowland on the stretch. Don't fumble the ball, whatever you do. And that's a loss of 3, and Kansas City has to call timeout number 2. Put a man in motion, run to the inside, and look to MacArthur Lane. Hope he has a lane, and he gets no gain. Culp on the stop. Kansas City's not going to call time. So we're just going to run the clock down to 57. Bakken will try a field goal of 32 yards, which he gets. So it's 16-9. So Kansas City gets a last chance. And we'll have to down it for a touchback 3 yards deep. They have 1 timeout remaining, so they're going to have to throw to the corners. Medium out. Pitts on 1st and 10. Podolak with the catch, but he's going to have to scramble to get out of bounds, and he does. 2nd and 7, 49 seconds to go. Short out to Pitts. Dawson. That is completed, and out of bounds goes Pitts, a gain of 13. Good defensive struggle today. 16-9. Medium out to Richardson. And Stram encouraging his receivers. When you catch it, get out of bounds. Oh, that's a bad play there for Kansas City. Dawson got sacked by Kruger. They'll have to burn their last time out. And in 1970 NFL, you could not spike. You could not kneel. Just going to have to hope for a miracle here. And there were a few miracles in the early 70s in the NFL. Taylor out of bounds, a gain of 13. 3rd and 3. 32 seconds to go. We're going to go long out to Pitts. See if we can catch St. Louis snapping and defending the short pass. That's intercepted by Wilson, and that will do it. Larry Wilson with his second interception this year. Now you just run a very safe play and hope you don't fumble. Because you remember, you cannot kneel in the 70s in the NFL, early 70s. We'll go to Lane. Just play it safe. Just go down, gain of 3. That'll do it. St. Louis has pulled off the upset here in ALTNFL 1970 with a 16-9 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Your player of the game will have to be MacArthur Lane, right? It is. So we had a whole bunch of field goals, 3 for each team, but Lane with the decisive touchdown run that got St. Louis going with 16 unanswered. Let's go to the player stats real fast. Dawson, the leading passer, 11 of 26, 122. Lane, the leading rusher, 25, 177. And Taylor, with 3 catches and 42 yards, was the leading receiver in both catches and yardage. I will be back and we'll go through what happened in Week 3 of the NFL. ALT-NFL, I should say. So here's our schedule for next week, the week starting the 12th of May. Monday we'll have the 4th week of the ALT-NFL for you, and I can tell you now, our game will be Washington and Baltimore, and we'll explain why when we get to the recap of the remaining games in week number 3. The Mexican Open will be Tuesday. Then we come back Wednesday with ALT-NFL Week 5. I can't tell you what that game will be because I've just done Week 3 and I don't have a time machine. The Super Bowl of Golf from TPC Scottsdale will be our stop on the Omnibus Golf Tour Thursday, and then Friday we will come back and do ALT-NFL Week number 6. We're going to cruise through these regular season games, get you to the playoffs of 70, and then beyond into the 71 season. So let's go through the scores. You see that game in the upper left, 37-37, a wild fourth quarter between Buffalo and Washington in the Eastern Division. MVP of the game was Shaw, the quarterback for Buffalo, who went 20 of 30, 20 of 33, 294 yards, and a pass rate of 107. Let's show you what happened in that wild fourth quarter. Coming in, it was 24-13 Buffalo. Jurgensen to Roberts cut it to 24-20. Shaw to Haven Moses came right back for Buffalo, but the point was no good. Extra point after, no good. Jurgensen then threw to Brown to take the lead, but before that he threw to Taylor, Charlie Taylor, 2 straight touchdowns, and it was 34-30. Shaw came back, threw to Briscoe to give Buffalo a 37-34 lead, and then Kurt Knight with the field goal for the tie with 31 seconds to play. And we showed you how Shaw did, and that's why he was the game MVP. So that was a rather wild fourth quarter. We will see them next week. Baltimore 25-7 over Boston. A couple of missed extra points by Jim O'Brien. The MVP was Roy Jefferson. 8 catches, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. And we will see the Colts, who in real life would make Super Bowl 5, and have gotten off to a 3-0 start here. Miami, after the tie to Green Bay, dominating the Pittsburgh Steelers 37-14 at home. Scott was the MVP, Jake Scott. And let's show you why as we go down to the defensive stats. 3 interceptions, 16 yards, 9 tackles, 3 passes defensed. And Scott also scored a touchdown on one of those interceptions from 16 out that put the game away for Miami. Part of a 17-point fourth quarter. They win 37-14. Pittsburgh at 1-2, not yet. And who knows in the ALTNFL if they will be the dominant team of the 70s. We do not know. It may not be the case. Cincinnati off to a 3-0 start. They beat Cleveland 17-7. Smith, your MVP for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's see what he did. Smith is the safety. 6 tackles, a 12-yard interception. And that helped seal the game. That's why the computer picked them. Robinson and Phillips with touchdown runs. Cincinnati is at 3-0. And let me see now. We have 3 teams left at 3-0. We have Washington and Miami undefeated but with a tie at 2-0-1. So 3 teams undefeated, untied. Detroit pounding on hapless Atlanta. I think that's the first safety we have seen in ALTNFL play by Lucci. I guess that's no relation to Susan Lucci. MVP here was Munson, Bill Munson. 10 of 21, 3 touchdowns, 2 sacks. And his throws were to Sanders, Fall, and McCullough. Detroit winning at Tiger Stadium 26-7. Dallas avenging their loss to San Diego, probably finally putting Philadelphia in their place 24-10. MVP here was Jeffro Pugh. And let's see what Pugh did. One of the defensive linemen for the Cowboys at this point. 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and nothing else. So he was dominant defensively. Minnesota 34-6 over New Orleans in a Midwest Division battle. New Orleans in that Midwest Division. Your MVP was Jones. Jones has gotten off to quite the start, scoring a lot of touchdowns. 21 carries, 95 yards, an average of 4.5, and he had 1 rushing touchdown. New Orleans 0-3, and let me tell you, we have 5 teams at 0-3 still. Green Bay 30-24 over the Bears at Wrigley. And it was Anderson, Donnie Anderson with a big day. 23 carries, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also caught a pass for 13. Back to the scoring summary. And the fourth quarter touchdown from 3 yards out was decisive with 8:40 to go in the game. Even though they missed the extra point, and the Bears got a score at the end. Green Bay goes to 1-0-1. You just saw the game between St. Louis and Kansas City. Lane had a big day, 25 for 177. In a West Division game, it was the 49ers 30-7 over Houston. That's going to be a group of death, as they say in soccer, between San Francisco, Oakland, and Dallas. MVP was John Brody, who went 19-28, 203, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack, a rate of 112.6 in the game. And this one looked like it was never in doubt. San Diego now 2-1, 19-9, a lot of 3s on the board. Defeating Denver, and Hadel was your MVP. Howfield with 3 field goals, Mercer with 4. He threw a pass to Gary Garrison from 35 yards out. He went 18-36 for 344, was sacked 5 times, but threw that 1 touchdown. So San Diego getting it done with grit. They are 2-1. Oakland 26-7 over the LA Rams. Dixon, who had a 2-yard rushing touchdown to make it 23-7 with 3:11 left, and Blanda got a field goal just to ice the game a little bit. And remember, one of the tiebreakers is your net points, so Oakland netted 19 here. And what did Dixon do on the day? 24 carries, 154 yards, 1 touchdown. Charlie Smith and Dan Connors also had good games for Oakland. Oakland now up at 2-1. And in the Battle of New York, which was the Monday Night Football game, the Giants get a win, 34-14 over the Jets in one of two battles they will have in the Eastern Division. MVP was Francis Tarkenton out of Georgia, 20-32, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. So on the Monday night game, it was the Giants, 34-14 over the New York Jets. The Jets are 0-3. So recapping the divisions real fast before we say goodbye. Baltimore 3-0, leading a half a game over Washington at 2-0-1, a full game over Philadelphia at 2-1. Cincinnati in the same position in the Mideast. They lead Miami a half a game, Detroit a full game. Midwest, it's St. Louis leading 3-0. Minnesota, Kansas City at 2-1. So that when Minnesota and St. Louis play each other twice, that should be good. The West still wide open. San Francisco, Oakland, Dallas, all right there. We wonder about San Diego. Are they a contender or a pretender at 2-1? Los Angeles, Houston at 1-2, and Denver at 0-3. So I switch a few angles around. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of the ALTNFL. Next week, it'll be week 4, week 5, week 6. And we will do all the playoff games. We just want to speed through this regular season for you all and get the playoffs done and can get you to 1971, the year I was born, in the ALTNFL. And we'll show you the first round of the draft when we get to that point. This has been Big Polly coming to you saying Godspeed and God bless. We'll do it all again soon. Bye-bye for now, everybody.